Hey everybody, welcome back to American Homestead. Today we're going to sit down with three of our homesteaders that are here at the farmers market on Saturday. And we got Bart with Solid Rock Soap Company, Tracy with Okie Homestead, and Cy with Believe Bakery. We want to take a minute a little bit and talk about what it takes to start a homestead, what kind of work's involved, how to make it profitable, and get some of their views of what it's like to be a homesteader in 2021.
The American Homestead.
The idea is I'm fat from here down. I saw it on the video we made last week. And I told my wife, I'm like, why do you allow me to dress like that?
Well, I didn't even notice. Now I gotta go back and rewatch.
Oh yeah, no, you'll get it. I'm round. I'm in shape. Round's a shape. So
A shape.
yeah. All right. So we'll just go ahead and start in. So, Cy, you started a homestead. You guys all have had homesteads. We got Bart with Solid Rock. You have goats and you make soaps and all sorts of stuff like that. Right. Tracy, you do a little bit of everything. You have gardening, you have animals, you have all that. And Cy's, of course, got pigs and chickens. So let me ask you guys. We'll take it one at a time. What made you start homesteading?
I started doing pigs because one of my daughters wanted to show pigs, and it turned out to be a project for me and my wife instead. So.
And what kind of pigs do you raise?
Feeder pigs.
Feeder pigs, just
whatever I can find out here.
So when you decided to do hogs, or your daughter decided to do hogs, what's something that you found out in that first few days after buying a hog that you thought, I wish I would have known a little bit sooner?
Instead of getting cattle panels, I probably should have got hog panels instead.
So fencing's one of the biggest challenges.
Right off the start, yes, because the first 3 days I was finding pigs at my front door or in the neighbor's yard or whatever. Yeah, it was kind of a pain the first 3 days. So and luckily I had chain link fence to put over the cattle panels. But other than that, once I figured out the right fencing, it wasn't too big of a headache after that.
So how long have you been doing it?
This will be my 4th year.
4th year? So you're the same as us. You started 17,
yes,
around
sir.
17?
Yes, sir.
So
whenever the farmer's market started out here.
It's really when you picked up. And then you moved on from hogs to chickens? And
started chickens last year, and the only thing I wish I'd have known about chickens now is I wish I'd have made the run movable.
Yeah.
And other than that, they're really easy to me. Water, feed, put them back in the coop, make sure the coop's locked. Keep them out of the street so the rooster doesn't clog all the children in the neighborhood.
So predators, obviously one of your biggest concerns in the area. Where your homestead is it wooded? Is it open?
The property that backs up to my property is wooded, but I live in a mobile home park that has, we're on 1 acre lots, so I have a pretty decent sized yard, but it's all trees. Okay. So hawks and stuff, I'm out in the country kind of like here, but I have a little bit more homes around than here. But dogs
are the biggest predator?
Dogs are the biggest predators. So.
That's always a challenge, especially with chickens.
Yeah.
You know, hogs, they're pretty resilient to a lot of it. I think I've only had one incident since I've started where a predator actually came in and killed a baby. And that was unusual because normally they'll attack the chickens, they'll attack other things. I hardly ever see them attack a pig. Right. And this one specifically went after some babies. So that's always something that you want to keep in mind is your predators in your area, kind of know what you're looking for and look for some of the signs of it. And Tracy, you've dealt with a lot of this. You know what some predators' insignias are, or MO for lack of a better term, about what a predator. Can you explain a little bit about what?
You got your possums and your raccoons, and if you set it up right, the raccoon, once they find the easy meal and possum tooth, they will come back. You just have to be patient. It takes a day or two, and then you can properly relocate them, for lack of better words. But with coyotes, they are a prey of opportunity, or a predator of opportunity, and if you have a weakness, what I grew up learning at an early age was how to predator-proof your chicken coop or your run, and so I put that into consideration when I built ours, and we started off small, and then we grew with that. We have had an incident, and I had to relocate a few of the coyote predators, and in doing so, now we don't have that problem anymore. Haven't anymore. So, but that's not to say that we won't, because again, they're a predator of opportunity.
Right.
And we also have the Tornix quail; those are in cages, so we don't really worry about that too much. And then we have rabbits; those are up off the ground as well. We had one incident. We don't know what happened, but it never happened again. But we did lose a rabbit due to a predator, but we never could figure it out. The best I can figure is it was either a dog or a coyote.
Right.
So hawks we don't have problems with, but we do keep an eye out for them because we have a pair that come back every year.
Oh yeah.
But they don't mind the paying attention to the chickens. We do have cottontail around there. Because of our garden,
Yeah.
we relocate the cottontail as well because they do like to catch cantaloupe at the right time or tomatoes or cucumbers, and right before picking, they get first pick.
Yeah.
Because they come out at night. So it's been a learning process because growing up, I was in 4-H, FFA, and so growing things, and I had the best teacher was my grandfather, and Grandpa taught me a lot. But with a new age coming in, there's a lot more science I've learned behind it of being a good steward of the land.
Right.
And that is one of the most important things to have a operating and thriving homestead is to know what your land is capable of doing and where you need to make adjustments.
Right. Finding that balance in the ground and, through animal husbandry.
Yes.
And that's a cool thing. And, with predation and the predators that come around, you have certain signs. And I think you was the one explaining it to me. We had chickens that were the head was just eaten.
Yes.
And what typically...
A possum and or a skunk and raccoons, for some reason, they will pick a certain part of the head, usually because it's sticking out of the coop,
Right.
or through the wire, and that's the first thing they start with, and then they work their way down. Now, I've had raccoons drag off the whole chicken,
Yeah.
but then coyotes will snatch the whole chicken and leave maybe a feather or two, but you can always find their tracks in the soft mud,
Right.
dirt, whatever, and you can usually tell. If there's a chicken missing, it was taken by a coyote. A hoot owl will take the breast out and leave the carcass. Sometimes they will take the carcass away a little bit, but you'll find the bird if you look.
Yeah.
Coyotes and
They take the whole thing
They
with
take
them.
the whole
They take the
thing.
meal to go.
yes, they do, and it is a happy meal to run. So, but with hawks, they like the smaller stuff, chicks,
Yeah.
or 6-month-old or less. Hawks will prey on those, especially if they get out by themselves or one or two. So a hawk will tell on itself because he'll let a call out, and
Yeah.
so you know what to start looking for.
Right.
And same way with rabbits too. If you are putting rabbits on to free range for a few hours a day, moving them around for grass, and you're moving them from cage to free range, hawks will start to eyeball them too. So if there's not very much prey out there, field mice and things like that,
They're
they're
looking
also
for
a
whatever they
predator
can
of
find.
opportunity, for sure.
And Bart, you deal mainly in goats, is that right?
Right. We do have chickens, and we had some turkeys.
Okay.
We have guineas. We have a group of 5 guineas. Found out that that's called a confusion.
Really?
And that ain't no
Perfect.
kidding.
It is not.
Yeah, that's
It is a perfect term, a confusion. But so they roam everywhere. We don't try to keep them in.
Right.
But when we bought our place almost 7 years ago, I kind of assumed that there was more soil than there was.
Right.
I knew that there was rocks, but the first time that I went to put up an electric fence to hold the goats in, I realized just how many rocks were on that place.
Oh, wow.
A lot of frustration, and after the first couple of times of thinking, this rock is probably this big, and finding out that it was the size of a car hood,
Yeah.
and digging that thing out, and then 3 more underneath it, it was a losing battle, and I knew that we were just on a rocky hill. That's where we were. And so we did find out a way to make a fence by using a hammer drill and a masonry bit.
Oh, okay.
And we'd put an 1.5 inch hole in the ground, knock the spade off of the T-post,
Right.
and then we'd be able to drive it through that rock, into the rock, basically. So we've discovered how to make some better fences.
Right.
But at first it was just every 20 or 50 feet there was a T-post.
Yeah.
And then there was small electric fence posts between that.
Sticking into the dirt.
Yeah, they just have a spike about 6 inches
Right.
long. And you go down, there's a rock there. There's a rock. So you wanted to have one every 8 feet, but you wound up 10 or 12 feet down there.
Yeah.
Which, when you're just dealing with the electric wire, you keep it tight enough, that's
Right.
okay. You can span that far of a distance. So my friend had probably 100 or so goats that he had bought just to clear brush.
Right.
And so their job was done. His use of these goats was over, and he was going to get rid of them. So we had 7 acres, and it seemed like a pretty good fit for about 4 or 5 goats.
Right.
So they were dairy goats. We bought them, and then found out that they had a actual condition. They had a what they call a CL. They would get cysts on their neck.
Okay.
And so these were not able to be used for consumption of milk.
Really?
And so we went through a learning process and a growing process where, we basically had to get rid of our entire herd except for one, and then get some more in. We used the babies from those because the babies did not carry the CL in them. And we found out how to build our herd, but it took several years before we were even off the ground.
Yeah, and that's one thing about livestock. You start with 1 or 2,
Right.
And it is a process to make sure you're getting what you want out of the next generations and the future generations.
Right.
And so you have the goats. So you started with the 1 and built it into, how many do you have now?
Well, with babies and everything, we have 17 right
17?
now, and one of them's a billy goat. So
He services the ladies.
yeah, and he's and this is the first way he was actually born on our place,
Yeah.
and he was a bottle baby, and a lady bought him and raised him, and we kept his brother, and he just grew exponentially more than the one we kept because she
Really?
had a lot of grass.
Yeah.
She had a lot of grass, and he had a lot more protein and things, and he got bigger. He got nice big horns.
Nice.
And I wound up selling the one that we kept to a man who butchered it and ate it. And so we finally got that one back. His name is Monty, and he's got this nice set of horns, and he's a little bit ornery. So we had to have some training sessions,
Yeah.
some meetings, so that he didn't think he could just push me around.
Right.
And
Because those horns can hurt you.
they can hurt you.
Yeah.
And I was walking ahead of him one time, and he catches up to me and hooks me and stops me from walking by just putting his horn right across my stomach and stopped me. And I couldn't tell really what he wanted, but we kind of had another little lesson. And so, you need to leave me alone,
Right.
and I'll leave you alone, and we'll be okay. So yeah, he's got 5 ladies with him right now that hopefully he's getting serviced, and then 5 months from now we'll have
babies.
Actually, that was 2 months ago, so hopefully
So
3 months from now
so you'll
we'll
have
have
another
some
round.
babies. Right.
And so growing your herd, obviously there's a lot more to it than we can discuss in this, but it's important to identify what you want to grow as far as your herd. What
Right.
types of animals,
Right.
not only what types, but what breeds and what attributes you want in that. And I know specifically for us with the hogs is we breed for sale of the babies for meat pigs. And so our priority in that is obviously size. I like coloring, but that's just a personal preference. So to me, coloring doesn't matter that much. But what really matters to me on my females is that they're good mamas. So, the sows we have are the type that I don't have to use a farrowing cage for. I won't use a farrowing cage because, one, they're expensive to buy. And you can make other ones. In fact, our first mama, we tried it, but she ended up being so good that she would circle around 3 times before she laid down to make sure her babies were clear. And so when we get a bad mama, we end up turning her into freezer meat.
Yep.
And we try to stay focused on just the ones that are going to be good, and we perpetuate that. And then, socializing with the animals, and, everyone's a little different on what they do with that. But me with hogs, I know what they're capable of. So for them to be socialized so that my kids can go in and feed them or go in and pick up a baby like we did today, that's important for us.
Yeah.
So, exactly. Well, I know you guys got to get back to work, so I want to thank you guys for sitting down and talking a little bit about your homestead that people need to know, because a lot of people don't realize when they kick off. They just jump into it like I did, and next thing you know, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yep.
So,
been there and done that.
Exactly.
And had to start over. Yes, needed help. So,
exactly. So as we close out, I want to thank you guys. Cy with Believe Bakery, his homestead, and then Tracy with Okie Homestead.
Okie Homestead.
You're on Facebook, and do you have a website?
We're working on the website right now. We are on Facebook, and we're updating and building up to possibly doing a YouTube, maybe. I'm not sure yet. Yeah. So it's in the future.
All right. And once again, Bart with Solid Rock Soap Company. You guys got website, Facebook, you got it all. So if you need good quality soaps, come see Bart and his boss Jamie.
Yeah.
And come out there. So I want to thank you guys. If you guys like more information, anything feel free to reach out to any of us.
Yes.
We'll be happy to share anything we have, and of course we'll be producing more content in the future to help on everybody else's homestead.
For sure.
So if you like, please subscribe, follow us, like us, share it, do whatever you like, and thanks for joining us.
The American Homestead.